Hey everybody, how you doing? It's been a minute, hasn't it? I'm Pavs, a racing VTuber and artist, and today we're going to be continuing this work that we started on a stream promotion. So something that I've been thinking about while I've been off, right, is that I want to make this a little bit more dynamic. So allow me to explain a little bit more. Currently, the drawing itself is technically pretty good. So by that, I mean, like, the lines are right, it looks neat, it looks tidy. But I would like it to have a little bit more of a free feeling, right? I want it to be a little bit more dynamic. And I think that's something that I've been struggling with. What the hell? Anyway, I think that's something that I've been struggling with because of the fact that... This is so weird. Those layers are acting in an unusual manner, and I don't appreciate it. But anyway, I've noticed that because I tend to use a lot of guidelines when drawing, right? Like, so for example, things like the 3D model guides, it tends to come out very neat looking, but it also becomes a little bit difficult to make it more dynamic when I move to the line art stage. And I think that's something that's an issue here as well. You see, it's like there's no, obviously there's me, right? I have curves, but there's no feeling of life to it. That's kind of what I'm looking for today, is just create that feeling of there being life. It's something that's been bugging me, quite frankly, but it's also an issue because there's no good way to transform what I already have. I mean, I could... There is a possibility of transforming it this way and adding some more depth like that. I think that might be interesting, actually. Okay, let's try that. We can use some... Okay, I was trying to do the Gaussian blur trick that I normally use. I accidentally hit him with that motion blur. Now it's gone flying for real. Let's try that again. Actually, maybe this can work. I was trying to do a funny thing and be like, you know what? Maybe this can work, since I am looking for like movement and dynamism. I mean, It's gonna sound very strange, but the issue is that it has like a very kind of still dynamism to it. And that can also be a style, but it's not what I'm looking for in this case. How do I put it? Like, there are drawings of buildings that are technically very impressive, but they're just buildings, But at other times you see drawings of buildings and it's like, that thing is alive. That's what I want to aim for. So let's try and do that. And I think that now, since we have the basics of it more or less figured out, I don't think it's going to be quite as difficult as if we were starting from scratch. Hello? Oh, okay, there we go. It wasn't picking up for a second and I got worried. It's been a minute since I've used my drawing tablet. But let's approach it like this. Maybe going for a thin line width would also be better. It's hard to say. For now, let's just draw. I think that's a good approach as well. I think... I really have missed streaming. I have, because it's the only time I get to draw anymore these days. Hopefully the busy period, I don't know if I said this before, but earlier this year, I think I told my family members or something, it feels like I'm about to enter a very difficult period of my life. And it has been difficult, but maybe one way or another, at some point soon it'll ease up. Thankfully, even though it is difficult, it's not like anybody's in danger or anything. Rather, it's just a lot of pressure. And it's because of that I also want to succeed. Whether I succeed or not is still remains to be seen. I have a degree of confidence in myself. But until we get the results, it's going to be difficult to say whether or not that confidence was founded or unfounded. Actually, yeah, the head would kind of hit the brush here, wouldn't it? And also, come to think of it, the brush would also be... It'd actually be kind of difficult to hit the canvas with the brush from this angle. That said, I don't want the mouth to overlap the hood like that. Maybe... If I can change the perspective on the brush, or on the stylus, I suppose. It's not really a brush, is it? But yeah, if I can change the perspective on that, that might just be what I need. Because it was bothering me as well. This doesn't look like it should be hitting the tablet. It needs a slightly different angle for that to work. But yeah, hopefully since I have a pretty solid basis down, it'll be quite the simple matter to get it up to speed. With the new dynamism that I want. Or maybe I just want to feel the feeling of drawing again. I don't know. So, coloring and shading has always been, like, my least anticipated part of the process. Shading... Surprisingly, I think coloring is harder for me than shading. I understand shading since it's more of a... It's almost more of a technical skill, you know? It's like you have to understand how the light interacts with certain parts of the drawing. And if you understand some things about like how light works and such, and how it falls on objects, and you have that experience, it's kind of a cool little meditative period. Although I do know there are people who struggle with shading and such. And of course, there's the ever-dreaded backgrounds. In my family, we have a saying that like not even Tarzan will save you from that, and that's pretty much accurate. It's exactly like that. That's just how it is. Okay, this thing had a line here. I've been thinking about dynamism and the way movement is shown in art a lot because I've been rereading Baki. What a fabulous series. But yeah, I am astounded at how some of the motion is depicted in that comic. Like, hang on, I was actually scrolling through them a little bit. I was flipping between them for a little while before I started stream. Let me show you two of the pages from like the childhood arc. Oh yeah, this is it. So in this part of the comic, there's this gigantic man is about to try and slug a wild animal in the face. The animal obviously catches it with its teeth because of course it does. That's logical. But I want you to take a look at like the line of action that's present here. Like if you were to break this down a little bit, you have it's almost like a drawn bow, really. You have the kind of wind up here, but at the same time in the right leg that's shooting out like this, you almost have the anticipation for what's going to happen next. Same deal over here. You can actually see almost that bow kind of unfurl. So if we go back, just like boing. And you see a little bit some of the counterforce as well, right? Like you can see how it's not even, it doesn't even have action lines or anything to imply it, but you can see how the motion is supposed to go. Even here, the way that the flesh is like catching on these teeth, you can clearly see that it's like being snagged backwards. But yeah, fantastic show of motion and how that can be captured in the graphical medium. Not my favorite, weirdly enough. I don't think I have a favorite depiction of it, but it definitely requires a lot of like technical skill. I think a good way to describe it is that you can see, if you're familiar with how martial arts works, you can basically see the kinetic line of action, the kinetic chain kind of present in those movements. It's very interesting to see. Okay. Okay. Is this right? No, I think the way it was before might be a little bit more correct. So maybe like... I almost feel like having it arc a little bit further up. No, this kind of crossed line feels more appropriate. But then what to do with the hand? Ooh, good luck with the art. Thanks, Adept. Thank you for stopping by. Oh, maybe this is it. Maybe I'm kind of introducing a sort of curve to it. Maybe I need to put the arm a little bit lower as well. That might also be the issue. Introducing advanced curve technology, that's right. I got my top team of scientists figuring out the exact what do you call, the expressions that create this curve. No, wait, expressions don't. You can map out an expressions curve, I think, but you need a. I think normally you do that with equations. Yeah, no, it would have to be an equation because otherwise the expression is just. I remember that equations are called that because they have like an equal sign, but expressions are called that because they don't have an equal sign anywhere. Which feels a little odd. I don't know how what we're supposed to do with those if they don't have an equal sign. I don't remember what the methodology behind them was, but sure, there must be something you could do with them. They wouldn't have invented them if they didn't have a purpose. My mouth is also a little bit too wide. Okay, and then over here. There we go. Then over here, we can introduce a little bit of waistline here. What's bothering me is this curve right here. That's it. That's how you do it. I'm not a very patient person when it comes to my art. Not in the sense that I can't... Well, no. I guess it isn't in that sense. Whenever I draw something, I want to finish it in the same session that I started drawing it. Even though sometimes that's not realistic, and especially not at sometimes the scale that I'm working at. It's just not reasonable to want to finish something in one sitting. But I really badly want to do that, and because I sometimes lack that patience, I think it results in me not having the presence of mind to go back and do something about certain aspects of it. So I think these little breaks that I take, right, even though they're not ideal, I do think they are nice for me to come back to, because it gives me a chance to kind of take a step back, breathe, and be like, okay, what can I do to make this even better? And it'd be great if I could do that regularly, but it's... maybe there is a way to do it. You know, maybe if I'm juggling a lot of different works in progress at once, that might be a method to achieve that. I don't know. It is true that I feel like one of the things that I've failed at as... Well, failed at is a strong term. But one of the things that I'd like to try and do more often is just genuinely challenge myself, because I think I want to start growing. For a long time, I've just been drawing whatever I wanted to draw, but I haven't really been thinking about like my growth as an artist, but I've been thinking about it recently. I'm not sure where to begin. I've only ever studied art formally at one period in my life, and that was only for a couple of months. And frankly, the courses on the internet feel a little bit... How should I say this? Well, maybe if I start looking, I'll find one that I like, but it feels like a lot of them have... It feels hard to really know like how to actually improve at stuff sometimes beyond just do it. And you know what? Maybe that is the path forward, right? Maybe I do just need to do it. You know, sometimes the simplest solution is the best one. But I would like there to be something more that I can do. I don't know. I want to invest in it. This is something that's important to me, so I want to make sure that I'm doing it justice when I try to improve at it. It's that kind of feeling. Come on. There we go. But yeah, on the bright side, it is nice that I care about it to that extent, right? I'm glad that I have something that I'm so passionate about in my life. That being said, hang on. This left foot is a little bit strange. But yeah, I don't know. I do think it is just the matter of me finding the right source to learn from. Because I think the issue that I have following a lot of like more contemporary art tutorials on like YouTube University, right, is the fact that they have, and I think I actually brought this up last time when I was doing this. They have like the content creator accent. And that is distracting as hell when I'm just trying to learn how to draw. I think there's a lot of value in just actively doing stuff, but there's some stuff that doesn't come from trying without trying to vary up your usual routine or approach stuff from different angles. That is extremely true. And you are so right for putting it in that way. Specifically, I especially agree with trying to change your routine. And I do think that is also part of just doing it, is the fact that if you just keep doing the same thing over and over, you're never going to learn if there's a different or a better way to do it. Not even a better way to do it. Even different is sometimes good just because it makes you consider it more carefully. But you know, improving at anything is difficult. So I'm glad that there are people who devote their time and resources to facilitating that process for others. This is wrong. Hang on. Let's take a look at this thing. The issue is that sometimes. Oh wait, no, maybe. What is this? Fujitsu Siemen stylistic. Let me take a look. Let me take a look at something. I want to see if there's a side angle picture of this thing, just so I can get a feel for how it curves. Oh, okay, so it literally curves. Alright. That makes a lot of sense. How do I... How do I depict that? No, wait, there is a method. First of all, I'm going to need to put this a lot closer because it's not as thick as I imagined it to be. Yeah, they just made it like that. Brother curvature over here. Just shaving off a little bit from the top. Ah, and you can see as well, actually. Hang on. It doesn't actually end like that. It kind of ends right around... Hang on. We can just get rid of this whole thing. It's not that easy to... It's not that difficult to replace. Kind of close, but no. It's a little bit farther out, too. Just putting that a little bit closer together. I think I just need to make this bottom part wider. And then maybe we can almost do a little bit of this. Straighten out this bottom part. Nice, okay. Well, not really okay, but it's close enough. Yeah, no, it definitely looks a little bit difficult to adapt it. I think the key to it is going to be thinning this part out a lot. Something else to bear in mind is that I'm not making it a one-to-one replica. It is going to be curved like this, but it's going to also incorporate a couple of other things that I added. But this is already looking much more natural. Where do I... Brush size, here it is. That might be too small for my purposes. That's better. Okay, now then. The next part is adding these little ridges over here. We actually need to put this a little bit lower. You know what's I was thinking about this earlier. So today I ended up stopping by a record store after I had an appointment in the morning. There's like a record store near where I live that's pretty nice. I like visiting it from time to time and browsing, especially like the discount sections, because they have some interesting stuff. Like I got an album from that's like the best of the Drifters, which are these like, I don't know, were they a rock and roll? I remember actually talking about the genre that the Drifters came from. R&B, right. Pop and R&B / soul vocal group. Thank you, Wikipedia. Very pleasant music. And I picked that up last time, so I was hoping I could also find something good this time as well. Funny ass thing that happened is that I came out, the appointment that I had before I went to the record store was pretty early. So I got there just as they were opening, and there was like a whole queue of people waiting to go in. Among them, which I found the most entertaining personally, was like this family of two parents and their kid. And the parents were dressed like a high fashion magazine from like the 70s. Like they had like not velvet, like a felt coat, and that was like bright red. Like the mother had a felt coat that was bright red, and the father was like wearing a shirt and slacks. But the kid that they had with them couldn't have been older than like 10 years old. He had like a very tiny a very tiny like Mad Max looking leather jacket. Like it had like a quilted texture on the back and everything. It was so funny. It's always funny seeing like tough guy clothes made for like the size of children. It was such a tiny jacket. I can't emphasize how small it was. Anyway, once I got to the record store, I stopped by. They have like, in addition to records, they also have like DVDs, a couple of collectibles and stuff like that, right? They also have a pretty sweet rack of posters, which I might look into at some point. But among the collectibles they had on the shelves, they had something for Battlestar Galactica. And I thought to myself, man, those guys just did not survive the ravages of time, huh? Like, Star Wars is obviously still getting stuff made today, right? It's still one of, like, the most active Disney properties of all time, which, you know, after Disney acquired it. Before that, it was just a medium active property, I want to say, like a middle active property. But and Star Trek still has shooters out there. I do not doubt that. Like, the power of the American Fujoshi and Spurk is unquestionable in, like, the subconscious of greater fandom in modern society. But I don't think I've seen a whole lot of folks batting for Battlestar Galactica. I've never seen an episode of Battlestar Galactica, which it might be why I just don't, you know, maybe I'm just not in the right circles for it. But I feel like I haven't heard a peep about them since, like, maybe the mid 2000s. They had, like, one successful show and that was it. They were done. In some regards, that could be considered a mercy. But yeah, they had a huge the head of, like, one of the robot people, the Borg, I think they're called. They had like the helmet of the Borg, like, up for sale there. But it is very strange. I do feel like I used to hear Battlestar Galactica, Star Trek, and Star Wars all being spoken of in the same breath, in the same kind of reverence, and now it's all just Star Wars. And maybe some independent science fiction stuff. I know Mickey 17 had a very low box office opening, but it is an original story as well. So that is very encouraging. I don't know. I've heard good stuff about Mickey 17. Okay, then. That's that part done. You also need to fix up this part in the back here. Come on. There we go. It's like I'm making a fish hook almost. Okay, and then over here, we can just kind of drag that up. There we go. Okay. Incoherent Lee's out here trying to get me to click on a... That's not... You know what? I do respect the fact that you are trying to... It is trying to weave around the no links rule by separating the .com. And it's also really funny that they have an ad there. Like, who are you trying to... What is happening right now? Get the fuck out of here. I don't appreciate that these bot names are getting less intense. Like, it's... You used to have the situation, right? Where bot names are very clearly bot names, right? Like, a bot name could be something like a key mash looking kind of thing almost. And, you know, that would obviously get flagged. But nowadays it's like incoherent lease could just be anybody. And that's like a perfectly good username they stole from somebody. Right? Like, they are squatting on username real estate. It's like 2014 Tumblr all over again. They're getting more advanced in stealing all those usernames and it sucks. Yep. God. I've actually been trying to think a little bit more, right? So, something that I've been noticing recently, right? And disclaimer, this user lives somewhere in Canada. Something that I've noticed while I was going out recently is that they have a few products on shelves that are flipped upside down. And at first I thought it was like some kind of just shelving error or something, but I noticed it more and more. And it turns out that they're doing that to products from the US because of the tariffs. I also remember seeing a post that said that like nowadays they're putting black stars on products that are made in Canada to just not buy the tariff products. It's very interesting. It's very kind of, I don't know how to describe it. It's very kind of urban myth-y. Like, I don't know how, it's very difficult to find a name for it, but it's compelling in a way that I can't really articulate clearly. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing more and more of that kind of cultural movement develop. I don't even remember what the... Oh, right, it's a power button. Yeah, I'm here for this. Yo, what if you were shopping in the US and all the products were just flipped upside down? Oh yeah, our new stalker is from Canada. Sorry about that. God. That's already pretty funny imagining it at a supermarket, but like imagining it at like a Ross Dress for Less or some shit. Where it's like somehow the shirts and the racks have been turned upside down as well. They glued them to the ceiling. Imagining that conversation in the in the management office, like, hey, I noticed that you're buying a lot of those, like, you know, those clippy hangers that they have for like pants and such. You've been buying a lot of those, like almost enough for every product in the store. What are you up to? And the stalker's just like, wouldn't you like to know, Yankee boy? God. I almost called the guy the imaginary manager in this scenario a gringo, because that's how we normally call Americans, but that wouldn't work if the guy is from Canada. I don't think. It took me a minute to come up with an alternative prerogative for an American. Oh god. Okay, then over here. Okay. Yeah, leaving a little bit of extra space up there would probably be for the best. I also feel like I could probably stand to make the background a little bit higher contrast. Maybe a slightly different color too. I keep hearing a lot of hubbub about green's supposed to be a calming color, right? I remember I even got like a notebook when I was like in elementary school or middle school that had that on like the cover. Like green is a very calming color. It helps the mind focus. More products should do that, I think. I've always been of the philosophy that like a lot of products should have very much like the Snapple approach, where if you open them up, they should have like a little fun fact either about themselves or about like part of their packaging. And I guess some do that to some extent, you know, with some of the products that are like, oh, this product was completely made using recycled plastic. And, you know, that's always neat to see, but Snapple really got that figured out. They are way ahead of the curve in a lot of respects, if I'm being honest. Like, nobody wants to admit it, but Snapple has been kind of on a generational run ever since they were founded. They don't make as much noise as like Arizona iced tea, right? Like they don't make waves as big as Arizona iced tea because let's be honest, Arizona iced tea also has a lot of stuff figured out. I don't know, very much an underrated pick for inventive soft drink packaging. Actually, this should work. Something that I am happy about is that recently, or at least from what I've observed, we've kind of moved away from that idea of whenever somebody makes something weird, they must have been on drugs. Like the other day, I was watching a music video from a band called Caravan Palace, and their newest music video is very strange. It's very trippy. It features like a giant fat monarch being fed by a bunch of like headless people with eyes in their torso. It's all very unusual. But I am happy to see that I didn't see. I am happy to report that I didn't see a single comment being like, "What drugs were they on when they made this?" You know, I don't know why. Even when I was a kid and I didn't know much about drugs, I thought that was a very tired response. That's a kind of commentary you make on something when you don't have anything better to say. It's just such a nothing response. Like, okay, man, I'm sorry that you have to admit out loud that you're not creative enough to think of something like this, and you don't appreciate the creativity that is being on display. All right, bro. Yeah, chalk it up to LSD. Go ahead, you do you. But yeah, I am glad. Maybe it's because drugs are just more common now too. I don't know. May that part of culture has shifted a little bit. Drugs might have won the cultural war low key. I'm sorry to report this to that gigantic muscular dare lion that probably awakens stuff in a few people, but I'm afraid that the drugs might have won. The war on drugs might have been won on the side of the drugs. Okay, what else is there to add? I kind of want to... Hang on. I kind of want to lower this leg just a tiny bit. God, I've recently my old indoor chanclas gave up the ghost, so I've had to get a new pair of indoor shoes. And that was a surprisingly more difficult process to figure out than I had originally anticipated. I ended up going to a sports clothing store to find myself a new pair. The new ones are very comfy, but they are sliders instead of chanclas, so that I've lost a little bit of my brand identity, at least in my private life. Okay, 1, 2, 3. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I could probably ditch the volume shutter that was here originally. It's not normally the way of the warrior to say that you can go ahead without something. Or maybe it is. I'm not sure. I'm someone who struggles to comprehend the way of the warrior at times. My understanding of its principles are somewhat limited. Okay, so I'm gonna put the skip arrow here. Or actually, no, maybe this one should be the restart button. Then the skip arrow. Actually, hang on. I have VLC Media Player open in the other window. Let's just copy that. Oh, interesting. Huh, okay. So hang on. I'm gonna need to do a little bit of Lucas Towers right here. So for VLC, it has 2 arrows. There we go. Okay, there we go. And now we just have the pause and play buttons. Now, I don't know why you would have separate pause and play buttons when conceivably you could make the same button do the 2 functions just by having an on and off switch. But I think it looks better. There we go. Hang on, do I have anything near me that has like a volume up and down button? I don't think I do. Okay. Now. Should I make... I think something that I could do is probably try and move these buttons, because now they wouldn't fit so good. I don't think. Maybe they would. If I move the bottom part of this screen a little bit further up, it would fit. Let's do that. That's also an issue, though. On account of the fact that it doesn't... If it's too close to the arms, that's also problematic. Around here should be fine. Come on, just a little bit. Need a little bit of curvature on this bad boy. Not even a curvature, just an angle. Come on. I'm using my shoulder and everything. You're gonna reach at some point. There we go. Okay. We don't need any fancy curves out here. Me when I'm sheriff of Square Town. Me when I'm mayor of the Linear Equation Society. Me designing a ruler. Actually, recently, I have been getting into a podcast called No Gods, No Mayors, which is really fun. I used to listen to an American history podcast a long time ago, and I've been needing something to scratch to the itch that filled, and it's been a pretty good solution so far. And it's very interesting as well, because they don't just talk about, like, contemporary incidents. They also talk about, like, historical ones as well, and that's always good to hear about. Like, I heard about this Italian fascist wannabe, right? I don't remember what his name was. Hang on. His name was... Where are you? Blah, 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 blah. Government in exile. Communist Party of Fiume. That doesn't sound right. Riccardo Sanella? No, that's not the guy. D'Annunzio, that was his name. Hang on. Gabriele D'Annunzio, who briefly took over a town in Croatia for, like, I want to say a year and a little bit. And he was such a fucking idiot about the whole deal. But the problem is that he had, like, a bunch of basically Italian war veteran attack dogs with him. And they needed to do something with these guys, because otherwise they were just going to cause problems in Italy. So I guess he decided to take them to Fiume. What a fucking idiot. Here we go. This is the part I think that it was talking about in the podcast. The dispute led to lawlessness, and the city changed hands between a South Slav National Committee and an Italian National Council, leading finally to the landing of British and French troops who took over the city. The National Council overstamped Austro-Hungarian notes, the Fiume Kronen, which were used as official currency. The confusing situation was exploited by Italian poet-slash-general Gabriele D'Annunzio, who entered the city on September 1919 and began a 15-month period of occupation. A year later, after failure of negotiations with the Italian government, D'Annunzio proclaimed the Italian Regency of Carnaro. The Kingdom of Italy and the Kingdom of Serbs, Croats, and Slovenes signed a Treaty of Rapallo, whereby both parties agreed to acknowledge the complete freedom and independence of the state of Fiume, and obliged to respect it in perpetuity. With that act, the eternal free state of Fiume was created, which, it turned out, would exist as an independent state for about 4 years. The newly created state was immediately recognized by the United States, France, and the United Kingdom. D'Annunzio refused to acknowledge the agreement and was expelled from the city by the regular forces of the Italian army in the bloody Christmas actions from 24th to 30th December 1920. Yeah. Eternal was a bit of a strong word for the freedom of this state. Eternal after they got that dunce D'Annunzio out of there. That's about as eternal as it got back in those days. At least that was my understanding of the whole situation. But yeah, very good podcast. We need a little something here. I love it when I have to just like stuff a bunch of these little tiny points into one part. We don't do enough of literally running bad politicians out of places anymore, honestly. He wasn't so much run out of the place as he was like shelled out of there by a battleship from what I recall. But that's not to say we shouldn't try doing that too. You know, finally give them a taste of their own medicine. You know, when you hear like somebody got run out of town, you always picture like pitchforks and torches and shit. Like a rabble of angry people just chasing down some dude, like maybe a dog biting at his heels and shit. Very rarely do you imagine somebody getting run out of town with like an autocannon. That's very much like an almost like Pat Labor-ass problem to have. You know what I mean? It's very much like a science fiction kind of issue. Very funny that it happened to a real guy. God. Being like a mayor in like a setting where mechs are a thing must be hella stressful. Like any day, one of your constituents could decide they've had enough of you and hop inside a Gundam. And then what do you do? Like, do you have your own kind of mayoral Gundam to fight back with? Or, like, is it just kind of like a sort of mandate of heaven shit where the town's mech pilot decides they've had enough of you, you can't really do anything against it? I'm just saying, I would definitely earmark at least a little bit of the annual budget for the mayoral mech. Mayoral Gundam is a pretty incredible phase. Yeah, normally it's more of a novelty thing. You know how they have like those big golden scissors that they use to inaugurate buildings and shit? Very similar principle, except this one has like a backup function of like not letting some local punk who finally turned 16 and just got his license to run you out of town using the fucking burning finger. Shining finger, my bad. The balance of this feels off. I need to raise it a little bit. Transform, mesh transformation. Here we go. I really have missed drawing. The past few weeks, I've only been able to really like bang out quick edits to appease my own weird sense of humor. And don't get me wrong, that's great, but it's not like it doesn't have the same wholesome feeling of creating something as drawing does. Hang on, could I almost like grab this and use that as a baseline for the rest of this? Yeah, this could work. Yeah, well, something that they discuss in the podcast is that is the fact that being a mayor is basically like the most power you could have, but at like a local level, and that tends to do something strange to people. You know, because you are kind of like a big shot, but you're also at the same time in the grand scheme of things, you're kind of small time, but locally speaking, you're supposed to be a very important person. So it's a little bit of like an ego trip at a funny level. Sometimes not so funny. Okay, and then over here. I'd imagine it kind of like depends on the city you're mayor of too. Like some major cities, the mayor can be pretty notable even on larger scales. But if you're like the mayor of just random town, yeah, no, I don't know. I feel like the big city major, like the major city mayor, is almost has to be more normal. You know, with the notable exception of like idiots like Eric Adams, right? You have to have like it's almost like the fact that you are part of a small town. You know everybody there. Like everybody there knows you. It has to do something to the way your brain works. Like if close to the city hall there's only like 150 people, your world is those entire 150 people. I don't know. It must be fascinating from like a psychological standpoint. Sociological too, of course. Don't get me wrong, but you know, I feel like there's richer ground to be unfurled here. Not unfurled. Uncovered. That's not quite the right word. Whatever they do to like places that are rich in oil, that's kind of like what we have here. Like some kind of wildcatter psychologist is just looking at like the mayor of a town with 400 people and being like, "Yeah, we hit the mother lode, boys." The wildcatters are also an insane group of people. I don't know. I guess you do have to be deranged to start up an entirely new form of business, but like, we're getting rich on research with this one. They just see dollar signs thinking of like the grant money they're gonna get from this. An image that I cannot for the life of me get out of my head is when I was young, I was watching some cartoons. I think it was Looney Tunes specifically, and in one of the scenes, I think it might have been like a Sylvester Cat cartoon, and the whole plot line of the cartoon was that he wanted to enter like a bird show, not to eat the birds, but because the prize money from the bird show was like surprisingly high. So he like dressed himself as a chicken using a rubber glove as like the chicken's comb and everything. Very funny. And he missed out on the grand prize. So when they were announcing the grand prize, he had like dollar signs in his eyes because it was like $100 back in those days got you pretty far. And he didn't get that, and he was a little bit disappointed. But then they announced a runner-up prize, which also had money attached to it. And instead of dollar signs, his eyes filled like with a symbol for cents. That shit I will never get out of my head forever. This isn't working. The dots are failing me. Honestly, it do be like that. Like sometimes you do miss out on an opportunity to get some cash, but you have a chance to still get some money out of it. What's a Chinese proverb? If somebody's eaten all the meat, they can't be mad at you for wanting to drink the soup. Something like that. I was looking up like ancient sound systems or Walkman. Did these ones have like an external speaker? No, okay. 80s, 90s speaker attachment. I don't know how to describe the thing that I'm looking for. Like the sound holes? Oh wait, this could work. Maybe. I'll bear that in mind. What's it called? Would it just be technology sound holes? What the hell is this? James Jones Instruments sound hole. Oh, is this for like acoustic guitars? Or something, I don't know. Oh my god, is the technical name for these things sound holes? That's nuts. What? Why are you doing that to that poor guitar? Oh god. Oh no, why would you do that? Although I did learn the other day that if you put a balloon... Also, those are some really tight jorts, man. You might want to check your blood constriction. Anyway, I learned that if you put a balloon inside of the little sound hole here of the guitar, it actually starts sounding a lot more like a banjo. Ironically enough, banjos are probably more expensive than guitars nowadays. Even though banjos used to be known as poor man's guitar. For a second, I thought they'd, like, incarcerated a tiny little Lego figure in there. It really is just called a sound hole. Hang on, so maybe... speaker hole. Yes, dude! That's exactly what I'm looking for. Speaker hole types. I'm gonna drink some water, hang on. But it is good to know that I was like on the right track, I just didn't have it figured out completely. Metal grill pattern speaker hole design set. This is it. I'm really liking this one here, but I don't know if that's going to show up so good given the style. Yeah. It reminds me a little bit of this activity I used to do. There are these Lego interface blocks. Yeah, these ones. Oh, I think this is even the article that I was reading about. The user design of LEGO interface panels. Piloting an ocean exploration ship or Martian research shuttle is serious business. Let's hope the control panel is up to scratch. 2 studs, wide and angled at 45%, the ubiquitous 2x2 decorated slope is a LEGO minifigure's interface of the world. But it is super interesting, like the dichotomy of these. Increasing level of switch differentiation, like it's, I don't know. This just feels very fascinating to me that someone can observe something about this. But it all makes sense. I don't know. Making something technical is extremely challenging. I like to use Soviet control panels as a starting point. These beautiful walls with nonsensical dials and levers are brought to life when arranged in a giant factory schematic. It would be hard to find a more literal organization of the information. I don't know. There's something very cool to me about this. Just the way you would have to think about this information. Anyway, going back to this, I think the ideal texture for this would probably be that 2x2 cylindrical panel thing. Yeah, I'm glad someone thought about those as well. I kind of miss playing with Legos. I don't know. I feel like they would be about the same level of satisfaction as building a, what do you call them? I used to play with them all the time as a kid. I had a really big imagination, so those little guys were like my lifeline. But I don't know. Something about it must be similar to the feeling of building a model kit, except maybe a lot more stable because it's not little little plastic nubs that you have to cut out yourself. I don't know how people get their model kits precise enough to stand them up independently. I have not been able to do that with any of the kits that I've built on stream. Which are all the model kits that I've ever built, by the way. I don't know, the hobby store that I used to get mine from closed down. And I know that there is another hobby store, or I think it might be a comic store or something, on the other side of town that might have additional stuff. Yeah, model kits that stand up by themselves feel like they have to. It does require a certain level of skill to get them to do that. It can't just be a technical design feature of each model kit. At least that's the way it feels. That's probably why plastic standees have those little armatures and everything. Hey, Liv, how you doing? Welcome, welcome. Hey, Liv, a quick question for you. Did you play with Lego a lot as a kid? I'm just reminiscing a little bit because I was just looking at some. We were looking at some control panels for Lego pieces. Good. Finally got to take a walk after so much rain. That's lovely. Having nice weather for a walk really is one of the top experiences. My mother didn't let me play with Legos. Oof. Was she worried that you would like swallow the pieces or something, or was it another reason? If that's not too personal a question. Those choking hazard signs symbols are no joke. She just didn't want me to experience joy? That's rough. Hang on. Oh wait, I see where I'm going wrong. I took too many lines with me. What about Legos? I was just reminiscing because I remember playing with them a lot when I was a kid. Like check this out. Somebody wrote an article about like the breakdown of how the blocks are supposed to mimic like technology interfaces are meant to function. It's really interesting. I plan to get one of the flower kits this year. That sounds lovely. I do remember seeing those and being flabbergasted by like the amount of detail. I hope you enjoy it. I remember getting ads for them too, actually, come to think of it. I love that they reuse pieces. Also, I'm starting to realize that this is just not going to work. What I might need to do, actually... Hang on. I have an idea. Whoa, 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 whoa. What's happening? Oh god. What is that? Alright. Rasterize. Where's that button? Convert brightness to opacity. Okay, and now we just have to use the blur tool to make them a little bit nicer. There we go. And now we begin our wicked process. There's probably a better way to do this. But frankly, if there is, I'm not particularly interested. I also got too many. Are you cropped off to the left, or is my Twitch extension bugging out? My model? I think I'm normal? Everything looks good from my OBS's end. Cropped off to the left. It looks fine here, I think. I don't know, do I look normal? It's tough to say. Which one among us can truly be said to be normal? But yeah, God, I love a feeling of. Wait, Leo just sent me a picture of what he's seeing. Hang on, let me get this on screen. Leo, do you mind if I put this on camera? I like that the auto subtitles just capitalized Among Us when you said that. God. I'm hiding. Look at me. I'm like chilling out in the little corner. Peeking out. Really cute. I'm fascinated by things that are cute kind of like on accident. Like earlier today, my buddy Preston was posting in V's server about a game that he's playing, Dungeon I think it's called. Something like that. That has this little goblin unit called Snuck. And there was something really cute about it. Hang on, let me see if I can get the picture of Snuck up on the big screen. There's a Snuck. And I don't know, there's something really cute about it. Right? Like, I think it's the eyes, honestly. I think the eyes are just very... Because they have, like, that little sparkle to them. The hands, yeah. Oh, yeah. I did also make an edit of Smuck because it reminded me of that, like... Of that picture of, like, a dog with, like, a lollipop and a propeller hat. Me, if I'm being fully honest. That dog with a propeller hat meme is honestly kind of it's kind of moving mountains, if I'm being honest. Because I feel like very few things... there's like such unrestrained joy there that I feel like more people need to capture in their lives. There's... I don't know. It's been feeling more difficult, at least for me recently. I've noticed that it's more difficult to find unrestrained joy in things. Not necessarily because, you know, you yourself are feeling down or anything, but because, like, I don't know, maybe it's like recently I haven't been paying any attention to any novelties, but it feels like we could really use something that makes us feel like that more frequently. And I don't know, just by having that image in your mind, I think it can do a lot to improve your mood. Just like, what can I do today to make me feel like that happy little dog? Visualization is a very powerful thing. And I apologize for steering the topic back to Baki, but it was something that I realized as well. That There was a part of the series where one of the characters is trying to figure out a visualization for increasing the number of joints in their hand. Right? Hang on. Here's a picture of it. So this isn't actually happening. The guy down here is just imagining that his bones are doing this in order to gain more speed when he punches. And I think that something that's underappreciated is the fact that this sort of visualization is very difficult to do if you only have like a description from like somebody who's teaching you the martial art. I don't know. I do think comics is like the best way to show an action in that regard. It's interesting to think about. Like if somebody had just if this was like a TV series and they weren't using CG or anything, or if it was like a radio play, it would be very difficult to communicate. This is something that is best done in an animated graphical, not animated, in a graphical medium. Well, that's weird. Hang on, let me try that again. There we go. Let's see. Right, I want to use a mesh transformation. Oh, that's actually really cool looking. But not exactly what I need. Hang on. This is easier. I can add just a tiny bit of curvature afterwards. Maybe I should duplicate this layer before I do anything rash. Even this much is probably too much. About this much, maybe? Yeah, that's about right. And now we can use the mesh transformation. That seems about right. Maybe a little bit more like this. It's also a little bit too dense. I might need to go back and start over a little bit. Let's start from the beginning. So if we add a mesh thingy here, decrease the frequency though. Actually, maybe it was good where it was before. Something like this should work. Okay. Yeah, let's just proceed with this. We don't need this all this bottom amount, though. That should be a little bit faster to clean up. No, I think I took away too many dots. Or maybe not. Maybe there's something different that I could do. Maybe I should just add more buttons. I think that might be the right solution here. It's it's kind of weak since I wanted there to be a sound system built into this imaginary tablet that I'm making for myself, but I can live without one, surely. This is the kind of thing you should plug your headphones into anyway, right? You gotta hate it when there's some asshole walking around with like a refrigerator-sized drawing tablet and they don't have the decency to plug in their headphones when they listen to TikToks at full volume on the bus. I genuinely thought people were exaggerating about that, but but just when I was thinking about, like, the other day I had to get on the bus to go to a thing, right? The glorious headphone jack, that's right. God, 3.5mm jack, I miss you so much. I miss you every day of my life. How's hi, Jupiter? It really is hateful. Nowadays, I had to go hunting for phones recently, right? Because my old phone was a piece of shit that could barely run without being constantly plugged in. And something that I noticed is that nowadays, fucking the humble 3.5mm headphone jack, which has been the love of my life for more than 15 years, is being treated like some kind of niche consumer desire. Like, all of the phones that have it are either wildly overpriced or are, like, supposed to be, like, for audiophiles, which makes them also wildly overpriced. It's crazy. You telling me I have to get a phone from fucking LG, Life is Good, just to have a functioning headphone jack? Out of your fucking mind. Apparently, the reason that so many of these organizations, these companies, have cut out the 3.5mm headphone jack, despite its the bourgeois. No, I can't make that joke. No, I have to show solidarity with the working class. I can't make that joke. Someone else can make that joke, but not me. Anyway, the reason that a lot of companies have apparently started cutting out the headphone jacks from their mobile devices is apparently because it takes up a lot of space, and they want to make it less heavy or thinner. Both, maybe, probably. So they ended up cutting the headphone jack. Which, to clarify once again, sucks as a solution. All I want is for it to make a glorious return, and yet I'm being treated like I should be... I'm being treated like a Luddite for believing this. But yeah, it's rough out there. I don't know. It feels a lot... It does feel a lot like tech stuff has reached a sort of inhospitable plateau of and shitification, if that makes sense. Because I feel like nowadays there's very few meaningful improvements to make on technology. We've kind of already reached as far as we need for everyday use. So a lot of the improvements or differentiators, which used to be a big deal, are now very petty things, or things that you might just be better off using a different, separate device for, like a camera. You know, like supposedly iPhones have the greatest cameras in the world. That's great. I don't need the greatest camera in the world, though. I don't do videography with my phone. I don't film with my... I don't take pictures professionally with my phone. That's like a normal camera kind of job. And, you know, I'm sure there's entrepreneurs and small-scale artists and photographers who do enjoy the use of their mobile phone's camera as their main tool for work. But it feels like that's just trading in one niche use case for another. Broadly speaking, there are fewer photographers than there are people who just want to have a nice, lightweight... Well, no, I guess that's not true, because I guess part of it is how available stuff was, right? Even if somebody doesn't have photography as a hobby, I'm sure they'd appreciate a good camera to capture their memories with. I want to make like a boomer complaint or some shit being like, notice how they've taken out the headphone jack so nobody is listening anymore, but they've increased the camera to spy on you better. Says a lot about society. God. I don't know, maybe there is a sort of strange correlation. Whoops. Between the one phenomenon and the other. This right foot is a little bit enormous looking at it from a distance. Gonna need to suppress that a little bit. That is something I've noticed as well. When I try to employ perspective in my art, I have a tendency to make things a little bit too bigger than they need to be. It's not noticeable until like maybe later on in the drawing, but I'd like to be able to start catching it earlier. This time around it was easy enough to resolve because it wasn't that complicated, but if this was a more complicated piece, that could cause a real incident. There we go. Okay, now... I was thinking about something. Right, anyway. What was I thinking about, actually? I feel like the phrase bourgeois hole just entered my head, and it just like completely threw me off my game. Also, I'm going to add the little pen hole switch thingy over here. Right, what I do need now is a PNG of the interface of Clip Studio Paint. And while I could very easily just grab that from a screenshot from my own monitor, I want something with additional resolution. God, check out this picture from an article called Beginner's Guide to Comic Illustration in Clip Studio Paint. Who works like this? Like, forgive me if I'm being a little judgmental. Who works like this? If you work like this, talk to me ASAP, or maybe a different kind of professional. This is not normal. not the color wheel taking up a solid maybe 1/6 of your total screen real estate. No. What should we actually put in there, though? Oh, I need to see the colors on the wheel. It's so bad. You can see... Well, maybe it's probably the resolution on this, but you can see like the individual segmentations of it. It's actually kind of interesting. I like that. But yeah, what should I have open? Hang on. I am definitely just going to take a screenshot, though. What should I have open while I do this? Oh, wait, I've got an idea. Rice Beast? You know what? You are so right. Also, it's going to look a little weak if I don't have a full white background on it. I don't know, it just provides better contrast this way. Let's see. Maybe the gouache brush would be good for this. That's a little bit more pink than I had intended it to look, but that's fine. I do think it would be, you know, given the fact that I have like lore that would permit for a serialized story to be told, I do think it would be absolutely hilarious if I made comic pabs suck at drawing. It would be a cruel trick to play on myself, but I do think it would be very funny. The painterly rendered rice beast. Exquisite. I have been wanting to try out a painterly style kind of rendering at some point. I don't know, people who use it seem to have more fun. I might try to do that if I get an opportunity at some point. It's also nice to just be more free with it. I don't know, I was talking earlier about how one of my weaknesses is that I tend to lose a lot of dynamism if I'm using a reference. So maybe this is a good that would be a good solution. I forgot the tail. Oh god, I keep... this is like a consistent... almost like karmic thing for me. I keep forgetting to draw a tail whenever I'm drawing characters that have a tail. And it's so bad. It's a minor thing, but it bugs me so bad that I don't remember the damn tail. Especially if it's a character for which like the tail is a super important part. Like I remember I was drawing Asbestos from Arknights, and she's got a very cool looking tail, and I still forgot it. Do not underestimate my capability to forget about the tail. Tail challenge. That would be kind of an impressive challenge. I'm not gonna to be honest. Draw a new tail every day. What when should that take place? I mean, like maybe we could call it Septailbur. No, that doesn't work. Doesn't roll off the tongue very well. There might be something there. I don't know. We have sword timber. I know that's a thing where you draw a new sword every day, but I don't know if we have a specific month dedicated to tails. Not quite. Help! My monkey king has become a Barbary macaque. God. There has to be at least one story in Journey to the West where Sun Wukong loses his tail. Brother's a shapeshifter. Like that shit should be happening to him constantly. Do you reckon that like if you like you might be able to tell a born shapeshifter from like a dude who learned shapeshifting by the fact that they need to like a born shapeshifter needs to remember what they look like? This is kind of cute, honestly. It looks, because of the pink, it looks weirdly fleshy, but besides that, it looks great. Maybe I could just lower the saturation just a little bit. No, I think it's perfect as it is. Somebody talking about paths? God. I do find it a little bit disturbing if I render myself with too much fleshy looking parts. I don't know, the implications of everything are disturbing. Like, I was thinking the other day, right, about like how my fangs work. Right? So, I have drawn myself in the past, right? Like, obviously I have normal fangs when I'm just like neutral, right? But then I thought about it, and I've drawn myself like with a kind of like grimace from time to time like this. And that shouldn't work unless the fangs weren't like attached to my jaw, but instead they were attached to my lips somehow. Or like to the front of my mouth, which means that if you wanted to think about like my, you know, like if I were to do this, for example, like I would have two like carnivorous teeth. Like maybe there's a bigger one and a smaller one. I don't know. What if your teeth were set on a fleshy sliding track where your gums are? What? What? Like, that is kind of a funny idea that, like, my teeth are just on some kind of Half-Life rejected sliding puzzle inside of Black Mesa. That would be kind of nightmarish. I feel like that's too technical for like the design of life, though. That is a thing. Is that in order to create life, you need to let it be a little bit messy. It can't be neat and mechanical. That's unnatural. I don't know. I like the idea of my physiology being a tiny bit grotesque. I don't know. I think it adds spice to it. Something like that. Yeah, man, my dentist says my teeth migrated a little. Slide whistle as they move the left to right. I'm able to do that thing that The Rock does, where like he bumps his pecs from side to side, but I'm able to do that with my teeth. Last time I pulled that trick out at a party, somebody vomited, but that's okay. It's what makes me special. Anyway, we're gonna tuck this away in a layer where nobody can see, and we're not gonna think about it for probably a while. Venomous rice. Yeah, new lore drop. I have a venom sack. I'm not gonna tell you where, but it's in there somewhere. Hang on, maybe I need to make all of this slightly smaller. I have within my body. I have hidden a venomous barb. Find it if you have the courage. Actually, come to think of it, should I not be able to? Hang on. By this point, rendering fleshy rice beast might have been a little bit difficult, but I bet. Hang on. Do I have like a color palette I can load in? Let me try this. Alright, please do not dox me when I paste this. Oh, that's pretty good, honestly. You know how some people talk about the deadly bacteria in a Komodo dragon's mouth? Thinking about that, except you have a sake bite. God, I'm like some kind of weird venomous yokai. I do know that Tsuchinoko are supposed to be kind of obsessed with alcohol. Maybe I can do something with that. Very carefully just sliding this into position. Yes, very good. Oh no! Wait, this wouldn't show the... Ah, shoot. I was gonna say, this wouldn't show where the little color wheel is, and you do... And you know, I've made fun of it before, but that is kind of an important part to communicate that this is an art program. What to do? I've got an idea, actually. Hang on. Is it possible to add... View item bank palette, sub view palette? No, that's not right. Like, I'm trying to think if there might be a way that I can migrate this to the top right of the screen. Item bank... Navigator palette, unit of coordinate length. Navigator palette? No. Subview. I've got an idea. Hang on. We can kind of cheat this a little bit. We can manufacture this subview that we want. Let's see. CSP color wheel. Give me the biggest one you got. Not quite. Screw it, this'll do. Alright, save image as something or other .png. We can just open that right here. Yes! Okay. This'll work. This feels kind of fraudulent. Okay. This is actually kind of a tough situation. I need to rework my approach because I need to have enough space for this to do what I want it to do, but it also needs to be... It's not at the level, it's not at the place where I need it to be right as it is right now. This should be a little bit better. Okay, so let's just move this a little bit over here. Okay, and what I'm going to try and do is I'm just going to try and grab what's over here and move it a little bit further forward. And okay, the sun has been eliminated. That's my bad. Now, what should we do? This part here also looks a little bit scuffed. Can I just, like... Hang on. No, that's not gonna work, actually. First of all, I'm gonna need to put this in a different layer. And duplicate this... Hang on. This might get a little bit messy. Okay, then duplicate... Cut and paste, I guess? Yeah, that'll do. Okay, and now we need to hit it with transformation. Just a little bit more. Little by little, we're getting there. Well, actually, this is fine as well. Or maybe it isn't. Maybe the solution isn't to move that part, but we need to move this part up a little bit. Yeah, that seems like it worked. And likewise, we'd have to move this part just a tiny bit down. Okay. Getting pretty warm. Now that it's going to take us a little bit of further photo editing. That's kind of fun, actually. You know, drawing a picture within a picture. Art within the art, that's right. I want you... From now on, my streams are just going to be a Matryoshka doll of me drawing myself, drawing, like... I don't know, Barghest from Fate Grand Order. I don't know what the final layer paths would be drawing. It's kind of a mystery. New goal 2026. That's right. I'm gonna become the world's first. What do you call? What is it? What is the name for those pictures? When mirrors reflect each other too many times. Yes, exactly like that. There we go. Mandala? No, not quite. Hang on. Repeating decimal, chart pattern. Nope. Fractal is close. Picture within picture within picture. Drasta effect. That's the one. This one. The Drasta effect, known in art as an ensemble of mis and abium, placing a copy of an image within itself, is the effect of a picture recursively appearing within itself. Recursive, that's the word I was looking for. This produces a loop in which theory could go on forever, which in theory could go on forever, but in practice only continues as far as the image's resolution shows. The effect is named after Drosta, a Dutch brand of cocoa, with an image designed by Jean Messet in 1904. The Drosta effect has since been used in the packaging of a variety of products. Apart from advertising, the effect is also seen in the Dutch artist M.C. Escher's 1956 lithograph print gallery. Wait, so this came before the M.C. Escher one did? That's pretty funny. Oh yeah, check that out. But yeah, recursion is definitely the word that I was thinking of. Probably. Maybe not that color. But it may lean more towards red. Might be the right solution. Okay, and then maybe just reduce the brush size a little bit for this next part. Maybe a thinner brush again. Maybe I can also do something about the fact that this is all white. Because right now, as it is, it's a little bit distracting. Okay, maybe remove this bottom part here. Something like this would work. Oh, I know why this isn't working. There we go. Okay, and then... I should also put myself in there, too. Although that might be too much. Yeah, no, let's not go there. For now, let's just finish coloring this in. Thankfully, I kept a reference of my own color palette close by. I don't know how much shading I'm gonna be able to do for this one. I feel like it's gonna be one of those where I need to focus more on just the tones of the fill layer. It is really tough. The dark colors of the palette here make it kind of difficult to... Hang on. That's more like it. The dark colors of the palette of the... of CSP make it a little bit difficult to appreciate the... how this is gonna go. I kind of want to... I almost kind of want to use a gradient map on it so I can switch it to light mode. That might not be such a bad idea, honestly. Well, we'll look into that in a minute. It might look better than we expect. Yeah, that might be the move. God, with the colors that I'm gonna add to this thing, it's gonna look a little bit like a Fisher-Price toy. But that's fine. This thing has like solid colors. Oh, wait, what? That's strange. I kind of like how it looks like this, though, so I'm gonna keep it that way. I also might just give the white parts to the parts down here. It's bugging the hell out of me how that looks down there. Hang on. Leapfrog Papslet. I hate that my brain has become like internet poisoned to the extent that when I heard Papslet, I thought you were making a joke about my height. To be fair, I am a manlet, but that's neither here nor there. God, I do feel like I would fit in perfectly as like a as like some kind of virtual mascot technology assistant thing. I do think, sadly, that it is something that I should look into as a potential fate for myself. The Pavslet? Also hi. Hey, Ryan. Yeah, we're talking about turning me into a tablet AI assistant. Not AI. A tablet functionality assistant. So you remember Clippy, right? I could probably become one of those kinds of things pretty easily. I don't know. I feel like my resume is strong enough that I could probably land myself a position in that field. Clippy Paps would just be your face on a rice bowl to feel more compact. That might be a little bit too compact, you know what I mean? Like, that's a little bit... At that point, it wouldn't really be me even anymore. That's some kind of, like, Paps homunculus. This one's... the color for this is a little bit rough. Let's blend that in a little bit. That definitely looks better. Reading a creepypasta 5 years down the line about a creepy desktop companion where it starts to get increasingly clear that all that's wrong with the Pav's companion, it will read Wikipedia pages out loud at inappropriate times. God. The creepypasta has a scene where, like, you're trying to open a... You're trying to search on the web for, like, a way to uninstall me, and, like, I open up a Wikipedia page for a graveyard very close to where you live. Hey there! It looks like you're trying to kill what knows neither about life nor death. Would you like to learn a little bit more about grave sites near you? I'd be like a combination Atlas Obscura web extension and just like a fun little learning tool. I don't know. I feel like I would make a surprisingly appealing creepypasta mascot. I think I got it in me. You know, I could be the face of the next crappy horror game mascot horror genre game series. I could be Garden of Bonbon. I could be Fred Nuts Fazbear. I could be whatever that blue thing is from that game where you have, like, slappy hands. I'm very multifaceted. I possess the qualifications. I don't know if I could live with myself though. If the only version of me that's a marketable plushie is like the one where I'm like covered in blood or like have like way more teeth than I normally do. I don't know. That just feels like I've given up somehow. At that point, capitalism would have won. My god, it's speaking in tongues! And it's a Latin version of the Romance of the Three Kingdoms Wikipedia page. Is that an actual Wikipedia page? Hang on. I want to see if that's an actual Wikipedia page. Romance of the Three Kingdoms, 14th century Chinese novel. 59 languages. Italiano, Español, Latin. Latina? Hang on. Historia trium regnorum, mandarinice talital pinin sanguiani, vel simpliciter tria regna, est mittoria historica salieri saeculi quartidecimi, quae lo Guangzhong tributuir. No, it's a fine creepypasta. I just didn't expect it to be Chinese. Is this Latin? It feels close enough to Latin, but it might just be some kind of weird. It's leaning more towards Italian than Latin. God, I'm just imagining me trying to cheer up like a user who's like not feeling their best, being like, "Your journey is very similar to Guan Yu's. Would you like to learn more?" Bro, look at my desktop companion. I'm cooked. You could be the next Lubu Fengxian if you try hard enough. God. I don't know if that's motivation, though. I feel like they would be like, oh yeah, that guy sounds cool as fuck. I hope nothing bad happens to him. And then, like, later on, they're like, man, what the fuck? Did you mean it when you said that? I mean, let's be real. Lubu Fengxian had a pretty baller run up until he died. Spoilers for a literally 600-year-old book. Maybe 700 years old. I think they said 14th century, which would make it 700 years. I don't know. I feel like the thing is, right? The Romance of the Three Kingdoms is a very old book. That is true. But I also feel like because not enough people have read it, I do think you should give spoiler warnings for Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Imagining fandom discourse for Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Oh, you can Cao Cao? Wow, okay. I didn't know you were you were okay with everything that with all the betrayals that he enacted and his wicked schemes. Do not interact if you are a She Kingdom stan. I don't know enough about like deep fandom to really make this joke stick, I feel. I don't know which kingdom is going to get with who, you know, unless it's a poly thing. Funnily enough, that it's less so that the kingdoms get together and more so like there's like a 10-year epilogue where, well, no, it's not really a 10-year epilogue, but imagine if like Gohan, if the Three Kingdoms situation is very similar to like how Gohan ended up defeating Cell. You know, like there's a whole backstory to like how that happened, but in the end, it is Gohan who was supposed to be like the end of the Cell saga. Looking at the history class syllabus and going like, "Fuck, man, spoilers!" God. All right, let's see here. Skipping the cutscenes in Dynasty Warriors to not spoil the story. Guy who's like desperately trying to do both the Dynasty Warriors playthrough and read Romance of the Three Kingdoms at the same time, but he has to like read a spoiler-free guide to shuffle back and forth with sufficient speed. That would be a deranged way to go through about doing a Dynasty Warriors playthrough, but honestly, I would kind of respect it. I kind of want to try out Dynasty Warriors. I feel like the kind of mindless destruction and barbarism of the Musou genre would kind of gel well with my own mashing tendencies. Alright, I'm gonna need to do something else right here. Maybe just a tiny bit less opaque. Yeah, that seems about right. And then down here, I'm going to add a little bit more shadow to this section here. Then over here, there we go. Oh yeah, we should also add some lights up here. Honestly, I'm kind of liking how it's looking. It seems pretty good. I might do a little bit more detail here, though. I should try to wrap up soonish, rather than laterish. I'm kind of liking what was happening with that burnished metal look, but all the same. Oh, I know what I can do. Okay, then over here, just like that. And then using a little bit of the airbrush back here. Then just one more thing of the darker one. And maybe just the gradient erase up here. And then this one down here. Yeah, that's a pretty good, nice kind of like shiny look. I might change the Acre Disc logo to also be in white rather than black. No, maybe like a rouge kind of color. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, very similar scheme we're going to do with the little blocks over here. Okay, so we're going to shrink by 5. Fill in whatever we've got. And then shrink by 2. And fill again. And then one more time, we are going to shrink. Oh dear. Well, we can fix those in post. Feels weird to say that when I'm not actually like movie editing or anything. Well, it's not like I've ever done a video editing stream. Which is surprising because I do kind of enjoy video editing, but I don't think I could make it a particularly entertaining process. I don't know, I was interested in trying to make one of those Hope Core edits that have been going around, but I think the moment's passed. Remember when I said that there wasn't going to be a lot of shading involved with this? Well, I mean, I guess this is still pretty light on shading if you want to look at it that way. If you queue it to post in 10 years, it'll be part of a nostalgic renaissance. That is true. Things have been behaving pretty cyclically like that for the last few years. Maybe now's the time to invest in some futures, so to speak. Yeah, I'm glad I didn't end up doing the little holes for the speakers. That's not what's supposed to happen. I think I know why it is. It's because of this thing, right? You can get rid of these other references as well. Rather than Impact Regular, what font should we use? I like Blockstock. I've been fucking heavy with Blockstock very recently. I don't know, for some reason it reminds me a lot of the No More Heroes font. Or it reminds me at least of No More Heroes in general. It's a little difficult to do it like this, though. Maybe if I make it shorter first, and then I mess around with its proportions. Yeah, okay, that'll work. Okay. I might have to figure out something for the background, too. Maybe... I had this old trick that I like to use. Hang on. Wait, I have this old trick that I like to use. Or that I like to use at some point. It's been a while since I've used it. If we shrink down this by, like, let's say 20 pixels, maybe 40, or even 60. Yeah, this much should be about right. and we use a gradient. We can often create like a sort of nice background gradient. Maybe it's all around here? Haunted house stream? Yeah, well, I like the idea of making it look fancy. It is probably a better idea to just go normal style and have it be more readable. May I should even make the text white. This seems good. Let's use this. Okay, that should just about do it for today. Maybe not, though. Hang on. I did say I was interested in doing some more with what was actually in here. So let's try and do that. And I have an idea for how to do it, too. I had a set of gradient maps that would be really good for this sort of situation. Ooh, yeah. Getting warmer. Something like this. Maybe if I inverted the colors. No, that looks kind of creepy. What if I inverted the colors of this thing, though? That's also very creepy. But let's try it out. That rice piece is just completely blended into the darkness. Yo, there we go. That's it. That's it. The creepypasta is manifesting. No, this is it. I don't know how this worked that well, but it did. I mean, hang on. Let's keep shopping around, though. There might be something even better. Like, this one's also pretty good. Yeah, no, I think screen is probably the best one. I think it has the best vibes, honestly. Okay, let's go with this. Yeah, okay. Now we're done, for good. Thank you everybody who stopped by the stream, I really appreciate it. Okay, hang on, is V streaming right now? Oh yeah, she's playing XR too, that's gonna be fun. Alright, let's go ahead and say hi to V. In the meantime, yeah, take care. I hope you all have a great rest of your weekend, and I will see you all sometime next week, hopefully. Alright, have a good day. Talk to you later. Bye.